Okay, so we saw this home on a previous video for step downs. I told you we'd come back to it. We've got this dormer here that has 2 step downs built into it. If we go in the street view here, we can get a better look at it. You can see on this side we have 1, 2, 3 roof faces. And if we come over here, we can try and see that there's one roof on this side. However, this tree's blocking it, so we can't really see it. I'm going to close map split here, but the gist of it is there's 3 roof faces on this side and 1 roof face on this side. So once again, there's a couple ways you can draw complicated dormers like this. So first off, let's just try and do it how we would normally do a dormer. Double click the roof, select the gabled dormer, match up the top, and then grab the bottom ones, match it up to the furthest corner of the dormer. Bring the diagonal down to match up with those folds. Then when we're done, convert to roof. As you can see, there's a problem because there's only 2 roofs. There's only 1 on this side and 1 on this side. That's okay because once we convert to roof, we can make some more edits. So we're going to come down to this corner and just delete this dot because it's kind of hovering over nothing. There's nothing in that section. I'm going to double click on the dot in this corner, and then I would just trace the edge, much like I would just a regular step down roof. There are 2 of them, so we got to make sure to include 2 of the direction changes there. Once you've got those in, bring this over till you see the 2 intersecting orange dotted lines, and then close the loop. Then, once again, it's a matter of deleting faces that are facing the wrong way that we don't want. Okay, so we come down here. We know from the image that we have 1 roof face facing that kind of northeast direction. And there's going to be 3 on this side facing that southwest direction. So that means anything facing the southeast direction, we can go ahead and delete. That one, and that one. And there we go. You can see that it creates that double step down effect, and it matches the images very nicely. So that's the first way to do that. It's actually probably the fastest way to do something like this. However, if you're more comfortable doing it by just drawing it as a roof, that's okay too. I'm going to show you how to do that. So just treat it like you're drawing a roof. Hit your R key on your keyboard, find the corner of the dormer, start there. Now just make sure when you're drawing it like this, when you're coming up to the top where it intersects with the roof, you want to bring it up pretty high to where it goes past where this ridge is. You want to be above that when you make your direction change. You're going to bring this over to about right there. You're just going to kind of try and guess where that is right now. Bring this down to the edge. You can see I'm going to have to adjust it after I complete the loop. And you're just going to trace these out where these steps are, just like we would a normal step down. I'm going to grab this edge and widen it out a bit. And once again, you're just going to take it piece by piece with what you recognize. You can see this ridge cutting through this triangle up here, so we'll go ahead and delete that one. And that's just the same thing we did before with the other dormer tool. Delete that southeast triangle because we don't need it. This will then become that shape once we delete this one. And this one will become that step down once we delete this other face. And then we just adjust the height and the pitch to match up to the image in the LiDAR. So I'll raise the height of the whole thing until these gutters match up. Then I'll just double click one of the roof faces, check the apply to all roof faces checkbox. And you're going to slowly increase the pitch until you can kind of see it. On here you can see where that fold will match up with the fold on the image. And it looks like it matches LiDAR okay. So that's how you draw that step down dormer that's a little more complicated. But next I'll show you kind of a even more complicated dormer. Alright, so here's a pretty complex dormer. You can see the basic roof shape in here. It has a step down right there. And we're going to draw out that whole piece first before we try and tackle the dormer. The tricky thing about this dormer is it has a step down on this outer edge, but then it also has kind of this missing piece at the top cut out of it. Normally you would see that diagonal go all the way through there, but there's just this missing piece now. It's empty. You're going to start by hitting your R key and just draw out this basic roof structure. Now you'll notice that if I just click here and I try to just follow my 90-degree line all the way to the top, it kind of cuts off a piece of the roof. It's not getting everything included in there. So usually the change kind of happens when it crosses a dormer like this, and the change is actually happening inside the dormer. So what you'll want to do is you'll kind of come up here, come to the ridge of the intersection, and then you're going to change direction. You're going to click again, and then come up to the top corner. And the rest of it's just like a regular step down. Alright, once again, take it bit by bit. We know we don't want that one because that ridge is cutting through the triangle. We don't want that one, and this piece will become the step down. And we know we don't want that one because the ridge is cutting through that triangle as well. Now, we know that this side is going to be all one roof face. We know that these two are facing the way we want, but this diagonal one is not. So let's go ahead and delete that one. At this point, you're just going to delete one of these. So I will go ahead and speed this up so it's matched up to the LiDAR, and then we can start with the dormer. It looks like this roof face is a little high, so I'm just going to lower that one roof face to match the LiDAR a bit better. Okay, that's all done. It's all matched to LiDAR, and we're ready to go on our dormer. I'll show you what happens if we just try and use the regular dormer tool here. Match up the top, draw out these corners, bring that diagonal down, and then we convert to roof. And it kind of creates that ugly piece right there that doesn't exist on the actual house. And we don't want that, so this one we're going to have to draw like a roof. So hit the R key on your keyboard. Here, click there on the corner, and then follow this up all the way to the ridge of the home. Click once there, follow the ridge along until we get to that step down. Go right underneath the step down edge, click, and then follow this down to the next ridge. Then we're going to trace that ridge up to the edge of the home. Then we'll come out to this corner. Now we're back to something a little bit more familiar we can work with. And we just go and finish this step down here. Then we'll just complete that loop. Now remember, just take it piece by piece. Go with what you recognize. We see this ridge going through that triangle, delete that one. This one's going to become our step down, but it has that little extra piece, so we know that once we delete this one over here, it'll create our step down. We know we don't have anything facing that west direction, so we can go ahead and delete that triangle. This diagonal section here, it also has a ridge cutting through it, as well as it's facing west again, so we'll delete that one too. Go ahead and delete this little section, and then that's it. That kind of creates our shape we're working with now. At this point, it's just a matter of selecting the whole roof and raising it up. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to match this section to where that folding gutter meet on the roof right there. That's how you can tell the height of it. You can also turn on LiDAR and try and match it to that as well. So it looks like I have this side a little bit too high, so I'm just going to bring it down a bit. And it looks to be the same thing with this roof here, just a little bit lower, not too much. Now, it's just about raising the pitch. I'll raise that up a little bit. Now, it looks like something went wrong. It looks pretty well matched up to the image, but we can see that at the peak of the dormer here, it's kind of flat, it doesn't come to a point, and it's kind of sticking above the ridge of the home. And that's something that isn't on the actual house. So it looks like I may have raised the pitch a little bit too high. So it looks like I should have only raised it about 1 degree. And it also looks like my LiDAR just might be a little bit off in the height of my house especially. So I'm going to fix the LiDAR a little bit, and then I'm going to lower the height of my whole house. I'm going to select both pieces by holding shift and then clicking each roof section. And then I'll bring down the height a tiny bit, and now it's matching up to everything a lot better. So there we go. That's how you draw something a little bit more complicated as far as dormers go. Just use your roof drawing tool and then just adjust the height and pitch of it.